The rain hammered the roof like 1,000 accusations, each drop a reminder of the lie we'd both been living. I stood frozen in the doorway, my fist still clenched from punching the wall, watching Liam, my stepbrother, my everything, crumple to his knees on the worn Persian rug that Dad had shipped back from his last deployment. "Aiden, please," he whispered, his voice breaking like the thunder outside. "Don't make me choose." But he already had. I was 12 when Dad brought Liam home, a scrawny kid with eyes like storm clouds and a backpack full of secrets from the foster system. Dad had just lost Mom to the cancer that ate her from the inside out, and he was drowning in grief, in the endless shifts at the Boeing plant that paid the bills but stole his soul. Marrying Liam's mom, Sarah, was supposed to be his lifeline, a quick courthouse wedding in Tacoma, a promise of stability for us both. She was a nurse at Harborview, tough as the Space Needle in a gale, with a laugh that could cut through the fog rolling in off Puget Sound. But Sarah had her own ghosts, and Liam was the living proof. Bounced around group homes until she got clean and clawed her way back to motherhood. We didn't click at first. I was the golden boy, straight-A student with a soccer scholarship dream, hiding my confusion about the boys in the locker room who made my stomach twist in ways the girls never did. Liam was chaos incarnate, skipping school to tag underpasses in Pioneer Square, blasting Nirvana cassettes until the neighbors banged on the walls. Dad tried. God, he tried. Barbecues in the backyard with too much charcoal and not enough conversation. Fishing trips to Lake Washington where Liam would stare at the water like it held answers, and I'd pretend not to notice the fresh bruises fading on his arms from whatever hell he'd escaped. By high school, though, something shifted. We were thrown together in the cramped upstairs bedroom when Sarah's sister needed the guest room for her divorce mess. Bunk beds like we were kids, but we weren't. I'd wake to the sound of him sketching in the dark, charcoal smudges on his fingers tracing faces that looked suspiciously like mine. "You're staring," I'd mutter, heart pounding as his breath ghosted my neck from the top bunk. "Just memorizing," he'd reply, voice low and gravelly, like he was confessing a sin. It started innocent. Study sessions turning into late-night confessions over stolen beers from Dad's fridge. He told me about the group home priest who touched him wrong, the way trust shattered like cheap glass under a boot heel. I admitted the panic attacks before gym class, the fear that Dad, Marine vet, Seahawks diehard, would disown me if he knew his son preferred the curve of a jawline to the sway of hips. Liam's hand on my shoulder that first time felt like salvation. "You're not broken, Aid," he said, his thumb brushing my collarbone. "You're just you." Summer after junior year, it ignited. We were 17, invincible in that reckless American way, cruising Capitol Hill in Dad's old Ford pickup, windows down, Pearl Jam blasting. We parked on a bluff overlooking the city lights, the Space Needle piercing the night like a needle in my vein. One kiss, tentative, tasting of spearmint gum and fear, and the world tilted. His lips were soft, insistent, hands fisting my shirt as we tumbled into the bed of the truck. Stars wheeled above us, indifferent witnesses to the line we crossed. From there, it was a fever dream. Stolen moments in the garage while Dad grilled burgers, bodies pressed against the workbench amid the scent of motor oil and pine sol. Whispers in the dead of night, his fingers tracing the tattoos I inked on my ribs. Mom's birthday, a compass rose pointing nowhere. "I love you," he breathed once, after we'd made love on the roof during a meteor shower, the tiles cool under our sweat-slick skin. I froze, the words too big, too dangerous in a house built on fragile peace. Love you too, I managed, but it came out choked, like swallowing glass. Dad suspected nothing. He was too buried in overtime, in the VA meetings for his PTSD that left him staring at walls. Sarah worked doubles, her scrubs stained with the blood of strangers. We were ghosts in our own home, Liam and I, haunting each other with touches that lingered too long at the dinner table, glances that sparked like live wires. College loomed like a guillotine. I got into UW on partial aid, dreaming of journalism, of exposing the rot in the system that chewed up kids like Liam. He enrolled in community college for art, but his heart wasn't in it. Nights spent at underground galleries in Fremont, coming home reeking of weed and turpentine, eyes wild with the high of creation. "You're gonna leave me here," he accused one night, sprawled on my dorm bed during parents' weekend, his head in my lap as I stroked his hair. "UW's 20 minutes away, dumbass." I laughed, but the fear gnawed at me. Distance was a killer. That's when the cracks showed. Liam started pulling away, late nights turning into all-nighters, his phone buzzing with texts from friends he wouldn't name. I found a sketchbook hidden under his mattress, pages filled with men who weren't me, lithe bodies in shadow, anonymous and aching. Jealousy twisted like a knife, but I swallowed it. We were brothers, after all. Stepbrothers. The world wouldn't understand. Fall quarter hit like a freight train. Dad threw a barbecue to celebrate my straight A's, the backyard strung with chili pepper lights, cases of Rainier sweating in the cooler. Sarah manned the grill, flipping salmon steaks with the precision of a surgeon. Liam showed up late, hair dyed electric blue, a fresh piercing in his lip glinting like a dare. Dad clapped him on the back. Too hard, pride masking the worry lines etched deeper each year. "Proud of you, son," he said, voice gruff. Liam winced, shooting me a look that said everything. Save me from this. Later, as the sun dipped behind the Olympics, we slipped away to the treehouse Dad had built when I was 6, a rickety thing of plywood and dreams, now sagging under ivy. We made love there, urgent and silent, the wooden slats creaking under our weight. "Promise me," I gasped against his throat, tasting salt and rebellion. "We'll figure this out. Together." He nodded, ice fierce, but his grip on me was too tight, like he was already letting go. The next morning, everything shattered. I woke to Dad's roar echoing through the house, a sound like artillery fire from his old war stories. "What the hell is this, Liam?" Plates crashed in the kitchen. Mom's china, the set she'd painted daisies on during chemo. I bolted downstairs, heart slamming, to find Dad holding Liam's sketchbook open, pages fanned like evidence in a trial. Not the nudes. Worse. Sketches of us, me, asleep in the bunk bed, my face soft in pencil strokes, our hands intertwined on the bluff, the Space Needle faint in the background. And scrawled on the last page, in Liam's jagged script, "Aiden. My anchor. My sin." Sarah was there, face pale as bleach, hand over her mouth. Liam stood frozen, shirtless and defiant, a fresh hickey blooming on his collarbone like a brand. Dad's eyes met mine, and the betrayal hit like a gut punch. Not just the drawings, but the realization dawning in his gaze. The late nights. The whispers. The way we'd orbit each other like planets on a collision course. "You!" Dad's voice cracked, the sketchbook trembling in his fist. "My own sons. Under my roof." He turned on Liam, The man who'd become a father figure to him. The one who'd signed the papers to make it official. I trusted you. Gave you a home. And this is how you repay me. Liam's chin lifted, that street kid fire igniting. It's not like that, Mike. You don't get it. Don't. Dad hurled the book at the wall, pages fluttering like dying birds. Don't get it? I've been bleeding for this family since Sarah said yes. Deployments, overtime, burying my wife while you two. He choked, eyes red-rimmed. You're brothers. Blood or not, that's what I made you. I stepped forward, voice small. Dad, please. It's not. Save it. Aiden. His glare pinned me. The boy he'd raised from ashes, now a stranger. Both of you. Now. Sarah tried to intervene, her voice a soothing lilt. Mike. They're kids. We talk this. No. He stormed out, slamming the screen door so hard the frame rattled. The rain had stopped, leaving the world slick and accusing. Liam grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the stairs. Pack a bag. We're gone. But as we climbed, I glanced back at Sarah, her eyes pleading, and something in me fractured. Liam had broken Dad's trust, exposed us in ink and vulnerability. And in that moment, I hated him for it. Loved him for it. Needed him to fix it. We ended up at a motel off I-5, the kind with neon signs flickering vacancy, like a bad omen. Room 7 smelled of mildew and regret, the bed sagging under our weight as we lay there, not touching, the space between us wider than the sound. I'm sorry, Liam whispered finally, his back to me, shoulders hunched like a shield. I drew it for you. To keep us real when you're off at that fancy school. I rolled toward him, pressing my forehead to his spine. He'll never forgive us. He will. Dads always do. But his voice wavered, and I knew the lie for what it was. The next days blurred into a haze of payphone calls and diner coffee. Sarah snuck us cash, her notes tucked in fast food bags. Come home when he's cooled. We love you both. Dad's silence was deafening, a void that sucked the air from my lungs. I dropped my classes, too numb to care, and Liam buskied on street corners, his guitar case filling with crumpled bills and pitying glances. One night, under a harvest moon that turned the motel's parking lot silver, we fought. Really fought. You had to draw it, I accused, pacing the threadbare carpet. Why not hide it like everything else? Because I'm tired of hiding. He shoved up from the bed, eyes blazing. You think this is easy? Loving you while pretending we're just bros at Thanksgiving? Dad's trust. It's a chain, Aiden. I broke it so we could breathe. I laughed, bitter as black coffee. Breathe? We're drowning. He crossed the room in 2 strides, hands cupping my face, thumbs rough against my cheeks. Then drown with me. His kiss was fire, desperate, pulling me under. We fell together, bodies remembering what words couldn't mend, skin on skin, gasps echoing off cinderblock walls. In the afterglow, tangled in sheets that smelled of bleach and us, he traced the compass on my ribs. We'll go east. New York. Start over. No steps. No dads. Just us. I wanted to believe him. God, I did. But dawn brought the call from Sarah. Dad had a heart attack. Stress, the doc said. Collapsed at the plant, clutching his chest like he'd been shot. We raced back, the Ford's engine screaming in protest. The hospital was a sterile hell. Beeps and bleach, Families huddled in waiting rooms like refugees. Dad lay in ICU, tubes snaking from his arms, face gray as the Seattle sky. Sarah gripped my hand, whispering, "He asked for you. Both of you." Liam hung back in the doorway, a shadow in his hoodie. When I entered, Dad's eyes fluttered open, hazy with morphine. "Aiden," he rasped, voice a gravel whisper. "My boy." Tears burned. "I'm here, Dad." He squeezed my hand, weak but fierce. "Don't let him ruin you." His gaze flicked to Liam, accusation unspoken. "Family's all we got. Don't break it more." I nodded, throat tight, as Liam slipped away down the hall. That night, in the hospital lounge, Liam waited, chain smoking out the service entrance. "He's wrong," he said, exhaling smoke like a dragon. "We're family. The real kind." But doubt had rooted, thorny and deep. Recovery was slow. Dad shuffling around the house like a ghost of himself, Sarah hovering with pill trays and chicken soup. We tiptoed back in. Unspoken truce. No touches, no glances. Liam slept on the couch, sketching in secret. His blue hair faded to dishwater. I audited classes online, the screen's glow mocking my stalled dreams. Tension simmered, boiling over at Christmas. Dad strung lights on the eaves, the glow casting long shadows. We gathered around the tree, a Charlie Brown special, lopsided and homestrung, passing eggnog laced with rum. Liam's gift to me was hidden, a leather-bound journal, pages blank for our story. Dad watched us unwrap, his smile brittle. "To new beginnings," he toasted, but his eyes said forgive and forget, never. That night, snow dusting the evergreens like powdered sugar, Liam cornered me in the garage. "I can't do this," he said, breath fogging the air. "Pretending. It's killing me." "Then leave." The words slipped out, cruel and true. "Go to New York. Chase your ghosts." He recoiled, hurt flashing like a struck match. "You'd let me? For us?" "Yeah." I stepped closer, the scent of pine and him filling my lungs. "Or stay and fight. But choose, Liam. Really choose." He chose wrong. Weeks later, I came home early from a shift at the coffee shop, grounds and steam, tips in a jar labeled future journalist. The house was quiet, too quiet. Dad's truck gone, Sarah at work. Upstairs, the bedroom door ajar, murmurs spilling out like smoke. I pushed it open, and the world ended. Liam, on our old bunk bed, shirt rucked up, with him. Jake, Dad's buddy from the plant, burly, mustached, the kind of guy who high-fived at Seahawks games and called us the boys. Jake's hand down Liam's jeans, lips on his neck, whispering filth I couldn't unhear. They froze, Jake scrambling back, zipper rasping. Liam's face, shock, then guilt, raw as an open wound. "Aiden," he started, but I was already turning, bile rising. Downstairs, I grabbed keys, peeled out in the Ford, tires screeching on black ice. The bluff called, that first kiss overlook, city lights mocking me. I sat on the hood, wind whipping off the water, until sirens wailed distant cops. Maybe, or my imagination. Hours later, Liam found me. He climbed up, silent, offering a thermos of coffee. "It wasn't. Don't." I cut him off. Voice steel. "Jake? Dad's Jake? The one who fixed your bike? Bought you that guitar?" You broke him. Everything. Tears tracked his cheeks, freezing in the cold. I was scared. After the hospital. I thought if I proved I was normal, Dad would. Normal. I laughed. Hollow. You think fucking his friend fixes this? It's betrayal. Liam. Pure poison. He reached for me, but I jerked away. I love you. Only you. Then why? The question hung, unanswered. We drove home in silence, the radio droning holiday jingles like a dirge. Dad was waiting, face thunderous. Jake had confessed, blubbering apologies over beers that turned sour. Get out, Dad told Liam, voice final as a judge's gavel. Both of you. I can't. Not anymore, Sarah begged, but Dad was stone. Liam packed in minutes, guitar, sketchbook, the journal he'd given me clutched like a talisman. At the door, he paused, eyes on mine. Come with me. I hesitated, heart a war zone. Dad's hand on my shoulder, heavy with history. Liam's gaze, pleading with futures. I can't, I whispered. He nodded, once, and was gone. Taillights fading into the night, snow swallowing him whole. Winter dragged, a monochrome hell. Dad and I rebuilt in fits therapy sessions in a strip mall office. Awkward talks over takeout pho from the Vietnamese spot on Rainier. I failed you, he admitted one night, Seahawks on mute. Should have seen the signs. You didn't fail, I said, meaning it. We hid. Spring thawed the ice. Green shoots pushing through cracked sidewalks. I transferred to Seattle U, chasing stories on the homeless kids echoing Liam's past. Dad dated a librarian, soft-spoken with a husky laugh. Sarah moved to Spokane for family, leaving echoes in the empty rooms. Then, summer solstice. A package arrived, no return address, postmarked Brooklyn. Inside, the journal, filled now with Liam's sketches, us on the bluff, in the treehouse, motel nights rendered in aching detail. Last page, a letter. Aiden, I broke everything because I couldn't hold it together. Dad's trust, your heart, shattered like that goddamn sketchbook. New York's loud, full of ghosts, but none like you. I chose wrong. Every night, I choose again you. If there's forgiveness left, find me at the pier. June 21st. Sunset. The pier, our pier. Under the bridge where we'd skip stones and dream. I went. Heart hammering. Ferry rocking on choppy waves. He was there. Leaner. Hair grown out. A canvas bag at his feet spilling art supplies. We stood. Miles of water between. Until he closed the gap. I'm sorry, he said. Voice rough with disuse. For Jake. For running. For loving you wrong. I searched his face. Seeing the boy who'd saved me. The man who'd nearly destroyed us. You broke Dad's trust. Mine. But. You came back. He nodded. Tentative. Can we try? No hiding. No steps. Just. Us. Dad had softened over months, letters to Liam, and signed, tucked in my bag, healing takes time. So does trust. Human, flawed, American to the core. I took his hand, the compass on my ribs humming. Yeah. We try. Sunset bled orange across the sound, painting us gold. Not fixed, not perfect, but whole. Changed. Unpredictably, achingly alive. The ferry's horn blasted like a wake-up call. jolting me from the memory's grip as we docked in Seattle proper. Liam's hand in mine felt foreign yet familiar. Calluses from charcoal and city streets rough against my palm. A reminder of the miles we'd both traveled alone. We didn't speak on the walk back to the truck. The summer air thick with salt and blooming jasmine from the waterfront parks. Tourists milled about, laughing over Dungeness crab rolls, oblivious to the quiet earthquake in our steps. Dad's house, no. My house now loomed at the end of the cul-de-sac, his craftsman bones holding steady despite the scars. The porch light flickered on as we approached, Sarah's old wind chimes tinkling a welcome. I texted him from the pier, he's back. We're talking. 3 dots. Then, doors open. Beers in fridge. No questions. That was Dad, stoic as the Olympics, but thawing like spring mud. Liam hesitated at the threshold, bag slung over his shoulder like a shield. You sure about this? I squeezed his hand, the gesture small but seismic. No. But life's not about sure. It's about showing up. Inside, the living room smelled of lemon polish and lingering grief. The rug still bore faint charcoal smudges from that fateful morning. Dad sat in his recliner, Seahawks mug steaming, eyes fixed on the game muted on TV. He looked up, taking in Liam's tentative stance, the way his jaw ticked with nerves. Time hadn't been kind. Dad's hair silvered at the temples, lines deeper from hospital fluorescent glows, but his gaze held steady, praising. Michael, Liam said, voice low, stepping forward like approaching a minefield. Dad held up a hand, silencing him. Sit. Both of you. He nodded to the couch, the one we'd shared secrets on as kids. We obeyed, thighs brushing, the contact electric in the charged air. Minutes ticked by, the clock's metronome underscoring the silence. Finally, Dad leaned forward, elbows on knees. Jake called last month. Said he's sorry. Moving to Spokane. Starting over. A pause. Heavy. Told me what happened. All of it. Liam paled, fingers twisting in his lap. I didn't mean to gut me? Dad's voice was even. No roar this time, just weary truth. I know, kid. Anger like that. It's a black hole. Sucks everything in. He glanced at me, a ghost of a smile. Aiden here's been filling it with words. Articles in the PI about foster kids. Kids like you. Made me read 'em. Pride swelled. Unbidden. My bylines small, local, but mine chronicling the system's failures. Voices like Liam's amplified. It's something, I murmured. Dad nodded. It is. Back to Liam. You broke trust. Mine. This family's. But trust ain't glass. Liam. It's rebar. Bent, but you straighten it. Liam's eyes glistened, shoulders sagging. How? After everything. Time. And truth. Dad stood, joints popping like gunfire. Dinner's on me. Thai place on Pike. But first, he pulled 2 envelopes from the side table, handing one to each of us. Mine held a check, tuition boost for fall quarter. Liam's, a key, gleaming. Garage apartment's yours. Fixed it up after Sarah left. Rents, chores, and honesty. We ate under string lights at the restaurant. Pad Thai steaming. Spring rolls crisp. Conversation flowed halting. Dad grilling Liam on New York. The galleries he'd crashed. The subway sketches sold to tourists for subway fare. Laughter edged in. Tentative. when Liam mimicked a Times Square hustler peddling fake Rolexes. For the first time in years, the table felt full. That night, Liam claimed the apartment, a converted space above the garage, with exposed beams and a skylight framing the stars. I helped unpack, his canvases leaning like sentinels, abstracts of fractured skylines, blues and grays bleeding into golds. Our story, he said, hanging one a blurred Ford on a bluff, us faint silhouettes inside. We christened it slow, deliberate. No motel frenzy, no stolen urgency. His hands mapped me like a cartographer, reverent over scars both seen and unseen. I missed this, he breathed, lips trailing my sternum. Missed you, after, tangled in fresh sheets smelling of lavender from the dryer, we talked futures. Art school, he murmured, head on my chest. Real one. RISD, maybe. You big leagues. Pulitzer by 30, I chuckled, fingers in his hair. Slow down, Van Gogh. One step, but steps piled. Mornings of coffee on the apartment deck. Dad joining with his thermos, grumbling about traffic but lingering. Afternoons, Liam tagging along to my newsroom internship, sketching protesters at climate marches while I typed frantic notes. Evenings, the three of us at Alki Beach, tossing frisbees until dusk, the Olympics purple in twilight. Cracks lingered, though. Dad's flinches at our casual touches. A hand on a back, a shared look. Liam's nightmares, waking sweat-drenched, murmuring apologies to shadows. My own doubts, whispering what if in quiet hours. Fall quarter roared in, leaves turning crimson like warning flags. I dove into a feature on LGBTQ youth in the foster system, interviewing kids with eyes too old for their faces. Liam posed as a source, his story raw ink on my recorder. The priest's hands, the system's indifference, the lifeline of Sarah's call. You saved me, he told me later, over ramen in the apartment. Before I even knew, the piece dropped in the student paper, then picked up by a local blog. Responses flooded. Hate mail scrawled in block letters, but more, thank yous from parents, invites to panels. Dad clipped it, framed it on the mantel next to Mom's photo. Proud, he grunted, but his hug lingered. Thanksgiving tested us. Sarah drove down from Spokane, her new boyfriend in tow, a quiet accountant with a penchant for puzzles. The table groaned under turkey and fixings, cranberry sauce tart as memories. Toast circled to health, to home. Liam's glass trembled as he raised it. To family. The kind we choose. Dad met his eyes, nodded. Here, post-feast. Kitchen cleanup turned confessional. Sarah cornered us by the sink, suds bubbling. I knew, she admitted, drying a plate with deliberate strokes. About you too. The way you looked. Like mirrors. She smiled. Soft. I'm glad you found each other. Liam hugged her fierce, tears soaking her shoulder. I joined, a huddle of survivors. Winter brought snow, blanketing the city in hush. We decorated the house, Liam's ornaments hand-blown in a Brooklyn workshop, twinkling amid Dad's Seahawks garland. Christmas Eve, carols on the radio, we drove to Lake Washington, parking where we'd fished as kids. Skates on ice, hands linked for balance, laughter echoing over frozen water. But betrayal's echo lingered. New Year's, a call from Jake, drunk, maudlin. Tell the kid I'm sorry. Ruined everything. Liam took the phone, voice steady. Yeah. You did. But I'm fixing it. He hung up, turned to me. No more ghosts. Spring equinox. A gallery opening downtown. Liam's show. Fractured trusts. Canvases of bent rebar. Shattered glass reforming into faces. Ours prominent. Dad came. Suit crisp. Sarah on his arm. No boyfriend now. Just her. He bought the central piece. Us on the bluff. Hanging it in the living room like a truce flag. Summer again. Solstice full circle. We stood on the pier. This time with Dad casting lines nearby. Beer in hand. Catch anything? Liam called. Arm around my waist. Unashamed. Dad reeled in empty. Grinning. Patience. Son. Always patience. As sun dipped. Painting the sound molten. Liam pulled me aside. Marry me, he said. Not a question, a vow. Ring from his pocket. Silver band etched with a compass rose. I nodded, breathless. Yeah. Us against the world. Not perfect. Changed. Yes, in ways I couldn't predict. But human. Whole. The ring felt foreign on my finger. Cool silver warming against my skin like a promise etched in metal. We didn't announce it right away, too soon. Too fragile after the fractures. Instead, we wore it inward. A secret talisman against the world's grind. Liam threw himself into applications for RISD. His portfolio a mosaic of our shared scars. The motel neon bleeding into dawn skies, the hospital's sterile blues softened by imagined embraces. I expanded my series, pitching to the stranger, voices of queer foster alums weaving a tapestry of resilience. Dad noticed the ring first, of course. Mid-July, over backyard burgers sizzling with that same too-much charcoal haze. His eyes narrowed as I flipped patties. That's new, he said, nodding at my hand, voice casual but probing. I glanced down, heat rising, not shame, but the weight of revelation. Liam, sketching at the picnic table, froze mid-stroke. Yeah, I said, meeting Dad's gaze. It is. He set down his tongs, wiping hands on his apron, faded camo from his service days. Whose? Liam's. The word hung. Simple. Seismic. Silence stretched, broken only by the sizzle of fat dripping into flames. Then Dad exhaled, long and low, like defusing a grenade. Figures. He clapped my shoulder, grip firm. Happy for you, kid. Both of you. Liam's head snapped up, charcoal smudging his cheek like war paint. You mean that? Dad's laugh was rusty, genuine. Don't make me say it twice. He turned back to the grill, muttering, just don't elope to Vegas. I want in on this. Relief crashed like a wave, leaving us buoyant. That night, the apartment thrummed with celebration. Bottles of local IPA clinking. Takeout from the best dim sum joint in Chinatown International District. We made love with the windows open. City hum a lullaby, his whispers mapping vows against my skin. But joy's shadow is doubt, creeping in on quiet feet. August heat wave baked the city, asphalt shimmering like mirage. Liam's acceptance letter arrived. Full ride to Providence. Starting fall. We could go, he said, waving the envelope like a flag. You transfer East Coast. Make it work. I traced the compass on his wrist. Inked post-betrayal in a Fremont shop. And Dad, his face clouded. Video calls. Holidays. It's not forever, but it felt like fracture. Another breaking. My series was gaining traction, a podcast deal in talks, roots sinking deep into Seattle's soil. Uproot? For love? The debate festered, late nights turning to arguments, words sharp as broken glass. "You're choosing him again," Liam accused one evening, rain lashing the skylight like judgment. We'd fought before, but this was new love's underbelly, where passion meets possession. "I'm choosing us," I shot back, pacing the loft's creaky floorboards. "Long game, not sprint. You think running east erases the past?" He flinched, eyes storm-dark. "It builds a future. Without his shadow." "Dad's not a shadow. He's family." The word landed like a slap, evoking Jake's betrayal, the sketchbook's fallout. Liam recoiled, grabbing his jacket. "Then stay in it." "I'll go alone." Door slammed, echo hollow. He didn't come back till dawn, reeking of Fremont bars and regret. We patched with touches, apologies murmured into necks, but the rift lingered, a hairline crack. Labor Day weekend, Dad organized a pre-departure barbecue, his way of claiming the goodbye. Sarah flew in, boyfriend-free, bearing pies from her Spokane kitchen. Neighbors trickled over, the cul-de-sac alive with laughter, kids chasing fireflies in dusk. Liam and I manned the cooler, passing cans, our rings catching light like beacons. Dad pulled me aside mid-evening, by the oak tree strung with bulbs. "Heard about RISD. His voice was gruff, beer loosened. "Good for him." "Yeah." I scuffed dirt. Compass rose itched under my shirt. "You going?" The question I dodged for weeks. "Don't know. Works here." "You?" He nodded, slow. "Love's a pull, son. Like tide. But roots, they hold." He clapped my back, eyes distant. "Your mom, God rest, taught me that. Chose me over her dreams in Cali. Best decision. Worst? Sometimes." I blinked, processing. "Dad, vulnerable? You regret?" "Nah. But I wonder." He smiled, faint. "Don't wonder, Aiden. Choose." That night, Liam and I lay awake, fan whirring against humidity. "What if we wait?" proposed, tentative. "Year off. You defer. We build here first." His sigh was ocean deep. "And if it breaks us, then we mend." I kissed his temple, tasting salt. "Like rebar." He turned, eyes searching mine. "Okay. Defer." Relief, but Pyrrhic. Fall semester loomed, my classes a whirlwind of ethics debates and investigative dives. Liam filled days with freelance gigs, murals for Capitol Hill cafes, portraits for the Elliott Bay elite. Nights, we created him sketching, me writing, the apartment a cocoon of ink and ambition. October brought ghosts. A call from an old foster contact, a kid, 16, fresh out, crashing in Seattle's underbelly. "Like Liam," the social worker said. I met him at a youth shelter in Belltown, eyes hollow as Liam's had been. Over vending machine coffee, he spilled beatings, confusion over his crush on the group home counselor. Echoes. I brought Liam, his presence a bridge. "Been there," he told the kid, voice steady. "It gets better. Not easy, but real." They bonded over sketches, the boy tracing tentative lines on a napkin. Driving home, rain sheeting windshield, Liam gripped the wheel white-knuckled. "That could have been me. Still could be. Without you." I covered his hand with mine. Has been. Won't be again. Halloween. We dressed as pulp detectives. Fedora for me, trench for him, crashing a warehouse party in Soto. Bodies pulsed to electronica, masks hiding faces but not hearts. We danced, lost in strobe and sweat, his body against mine a defiance. Till a face from the past emerged. Jake, broader now, nursing a whiskey at the bar. Time froze. Liam tensed, hand tightening on my waist. Ignore, but Jake approached, eyes bloodshot. Liam. Aiden, nod awkward. Heard you're. Good. Liam's jaw clenched. We are. Jake shifted, discomfort radiating. Look, I about before. Therapy's helping. Wanted to say. Sorry. Properly. Air thickened. Bass thumping like heartbeats. Liam stared, then nodded. Kurt. Heard you moved. Good. Yeah. Jake glanced at me, then away. Take care of each other. He melted into the crowd. Ghost banished. We left early, adrenaline crashing on the drive. You okay? I asked, thumbing his ring. He exhaled, shaky. Yeah. Closure's weird. Like swallowing nails. Back home, we shed costumes, bodies urgent against the door. Love you, he gasped. Later, spent and safe. Through ghosts, November elections loomed, city electric with protest energy. My podcast launched, Hidden Harbors, episodes on queer invisibility in plain sight. Liam guested anonymously, voice modulated, sharing fragments. Downloads spiked. Invites poured. TEDx Seattle. A spot on KUOW. Dad listened to the first episode in his truck. Calling post-commute. Voice sounds familiar, he teased, but pride laced it. You're doing good. Boys. Thanksgiving redux. Turkey with tofurkey for Sarah's new vegan phase. Table talk veering to politics. Then personal. Wedded bliss. Sarah prodded. Winking. Liam choked on pie. I laughed. Spring. Courthouse. Maybe beach. Dad raised glass. To that. December deepened. Solstice approaching like destiny. Liam's mural commission. A rainbow reclaiming pioneer square walls. Drew crowds. His name buzzing. We planned the wedding small. Alky sand. Clotheskin. Vows handwritten on napkins like our first promises. But fate, that American trickster, had plans. Christmas Eve. Dad collapsed again, not heart, but stroke. Mild, doc said, but warning. Hospital again. Beeps mocking progress. In the waiting room, Liam paced, face ashen. This is my fault. Stress from us. I pulled him down. Fierce. No. Life's fault. We face it. Together. Dad recovered faster. Speech slurred but spirit intact. Don't fuss, he grumbled from the bed. Just get hitched already. Give me grandkids to spoil. Adopted. Whatever. Laughter bubbled. Healing. New Year dawned crisp. Resolutions whispered. Grow. Forgive. Love loud. But cracks widened. Liam's deferral ended. RISD reapplied. Acceptance reaffirmed. Go. Dad urged over coffee. Ice keen. Fly. Kid. We'll visit. Liam looked to me. Torn. Aid. The pull tide versus. Roots. Go. I said. Voice steady. I'll follow. Summer. Tears, then resolve. January, he packed, canvases crated, guitar tuned for cross-country flight. Airport goodbye, hug crushing, kiss chased for the crowd but deep for us. 6 months, he promised. Boarding. Winter without him was hollow, classes echoey, apartment cold. Dad and I bonded deeper, fishing, his stories of Nam unfiltered, my fears of losing him voiced. You won't, he said. Roots hold. Spring bloomed. My podcast Emmy-nominated, small category, but surreal. Invites East. Panels in Boston. Whispers of jobs. May. I flew to Providence. Campus ivy-clad. Liam waiting, paint-flecked and beaming. We walked paths, future tangible. Job hunt, he asked. Yeah. Here, his grin split wide. Roots East now. June wedding. Beach at Narragansett. Waves crashing applause. Dad walked me, yes, me down the aisle of driftwood. Sarah beaming. Vows. Through breaks and mends. I choose you, not end. Beginning. Changed. Unpredictably human. Salt spray stung my eyes as the officiant pronounced us bound. The ocean's roar drowning any doubts in its indifferent embrace. Liam's kiss tasted of champagne and forever, his hands framing my face like a masterpiece. Dad hooped from the front row, folding chairs on sand, wildflowers in jars, his arm around Sarah, both of them sun-kissed and teary. That's my boys, he bellowed, pulling us into a bear hug that smelled of Old Spice and pride. The reception was pure chaos. Bonfire crackling, local band strumming Dylan covers, lobsters grilled by a caterer Dad insisted on hiring. No skimping on the good stuff. Cousins from Sarah's side danced barefoot, kids chasing glow sticks into the surf. Liam and I swayed slow to Wonderwall. His head on my shoulder, whispers of grad school dreams mingling with seafoam. Mr. and Mr. Last name, he teased, ring glinting firelight. We'd hyphenated O'Connor Reed, a nod to blended blood. Feels right, I murmured, spinning him under stars. Honeymoon was a road trip, classic American odyssey, from Rhode Island through the Berkshires, dipping into NYC for gallery crawls, ending in DC where Liam sketched monuments refracted through queer lenses. Motels again, but now with wedding bands winking on the nightstand. Love unhurried, bodies mapping new territories of trust. Back in Providence, domesticity settled like dust motes in sunlight. My job at the Providence Journal investigative beat on social justice kept me chasing leads from City Hall to back alley shelters. Liam's MFA program devoured him. Critiques till midnight, canvases sprawling the studio apartment like abstract confessions. Mornings, coffee brewed strong, kisses over toast. Don't forget the symposium, he'd remind, paint under his nails. Dad visited Labor Day, flying coach, griping about TSA but beaming at the airport. We toured RISD, his eyes wide at the chaos of creation. Like your old sketches, but bigger. Dinner at a Portuguese spot. He grilled Liam on the art life, advice gruff. Don't starve for it. Eat first. Autumn leaves turned flame, mirroring the fire we'd kindled. But embers cool, routines calcify. My series expanded, national pickup by NPR, travel demands pulling me to conferences in Chicago, panels in Atlanta. Liam's shows mounted, jealousy flickering when admirers lingered too long, hands brushing his arm with intent. First fight post-vows. November chill seeping through windows, Me late from a red-eye, him waiting with cold takeout. You smell like airport bar, he accused. Nose wrinkling, not accusation, but hurt. Long day, I sighed, dropping bag. Missed you, then stay. His voice cracked, vulnerability raw. These trips. It's like you're gone again. Echoes of separation. The year apart. Work's building this. Us. Us or ambition? He turned away, shoulders tight. Words escalated. You chose this. We both did. Ending in silence. Bed cold between us. Morning brought apologies. Coffee black as regret. Therapy? He suggested. Tentative. Couples. Like Dad did post-stroke. We found a queer-affirming counselor in downtown. Sessions in a loft overlooking the harbor. Unpacked baggage. My fear of abandonment, rooted in Mom's death. His terror of unworthiness, forged in foster fires. Betrayal's a cycle, she said. Neutral. Break it with intention. We did date nights at indie theaters, weekend hikes in the Blue Hills, where we'd fuck against boulders, reclaiming wildness. Winter solstice. Dad's gift arrived. A compass, engraved true north home. With it, a letter, proud of the men you've become. Visit soon. Love, Dad. Christmas in Seattle. Snow-dusted evergreens. Airport delays forgiven in Liam's lap. Dad's house transformed. String lights. A tree groaning with ornaments. Sarah joined. Her boyfriend, now fiancé. Rings exchanged in a backyard ceremony we'd officiated via Zoom. Toasts to love's many shapes. Tears flowing free. But undercurrents stirred. Dad confided post-eggnog. By the fire, dating again. Librarian's sister, veteran. Like me, hesitant joy, but shadowed. After your mom. Feels like cheating. You're not, I assured, hand on his. Honoring her by living. He nodded, eyes misty. Like you too. Honoring the mess. January thawed resolutions. Liam's thesis show loomed. My book proposal pitched Harbor Voices. Queer survival in America's shadows. Rejections stung. But acceptances followed. Advance from an indie press. Tour dates penciled. Spring burst. Cherry blossoms pink confetti. Liam's opening. Rebar hearts. Sculptures of twisted metal forming embraces. Ours central. Interactive. Critics raved. Raw. Redemptive. Sales funding a down payment on a tiny bungalow in Elmwood. But high tide recedes. May. A lead on my book. Interview with a whistleblower in D.C. Week-long trip. Liam nodded brave, but eyes betrayed fear. Call every night? Promise. Hotel anonymity bred temptation. Late bar chats with a source. Too many whiskeys. A hand on knee that I shrugged off. But guilt gnawed. Confession spilling on return. Nothing happened. But I felt. Seen. Liam's face shuddered. Old wounds reopening. Like Jake saw me? Easy. No. Panic clawed. Like a stranger. Not you. We fought. Plates slammed. Doors rattled. Ending in sobs. Him curled on the couch. I can't lose you to this. You won't. I knelt. Forehead to his. We're rebar. Remember? Bent. Not broken. Therapy doubled down. Unpacking my roving eye as fear of stagnation. His cling as scar tissue. Vows include grace, counselor urged. Summer solstice circled. Anniversary dawning. We escaped to Block Island ferry rocking. Bikes rented for coastal trails. Beach picnic. lobster rolls, vows renewed on parchment, buried in sand like time capsule. Back home, harmony hummed. Book deal inked. Tour light. Liam's solo exhibit in NYC. Me tagging as +1. Sketching crowds while he networked. Fall equinox. Dad's wedding. Simple, beachside like ours. His bride Ellen in linen. Ice kind. We stood best men. Toasts laced with humor. To second chances. And thirds if needed. Dance floor magic. Liam and I swaying. Dad cutting in with a twirl that left us howling. But autumn winds whisper change. Liam's post-MFA offers. Adjunct at RISD. But a fellowship in LA, sun-soaked. Career catapult. 6 months, he said, echoing my trips. Then back, doubt flickered. My book tour ramped coast. Heartland, exhaustion etching lines. Go, I encouraged, masking ache. Shine, he left October, airport kiss fierce. Video every day, days blurred. Signings in San Francisco, readings in Austin, fans sharing stories that mirrored ours. Loneliness crept, nights scrolling his Insta palm trees, gallery shots, a collaborator's arm slung casual. Thanksgiving solo, Dad's table, Sarah's pies, but empty chair ached. He'll be home, Dad said, squeezing my hand. December, solstice eve, call from Liam, voice tight. LA's intense. Offers piling. What if I stay? Heart plummeted. We said 6. I know. But this, it's now. Argument crackled. Ambition again? Support me. Ending in tears. Line dead. Christmas alone. Dad's concern palpable. Fight for it, son. Or let go. New Year dawned resolve. Flight to LA. Unannounced. Hills golden. His loft sun-drenched. Door opening to shock. Then embrace. I can't without you, I said. Bag dropping. Me neither. Confession. The collaborator. Flirtation fizzling to friendship. But guilt's shadow. Chose you. Always. We mended slow beach walks. Therapy via Zoom. Vows reaffirmed under Hollywood sign. Spring. He declined LA. Returned east. Homes you. Changed again. Deeper. Scarred. Unbreakable. The Hollywood sign loomed like a faded billboard promise as we drove back east. Windows down. Indie folk crooning from the stereo about roads less traveled. Liam's hand rested on my thigh. A grounding weight. The rings band pressing like an oath renewed. We'd left LA lighter. His fellowship deferred indefinitely. A polite thanks but family calls email sent from a Malibu cafe over avocado toast. The collaborator, a coffee meetup, platonic sketches exchanged. Lines uncrossed but acknowledged in our joint therapy debrief. Boundaries bend. Don't break. Providence welcomed us with April showers. Daffodils nodding in the bungalow's yard like old friends. Unpacking was ritual. Canvases uncrated. My tour swag signed copies. Tote bags emblazoned harbor voices, stacked on shelves beside his awards. Dad called that night. Voice crackling over spotty cell. Heard you two patched. Good. Ellen's asking for grandbabes, adopt a pup first. Test run. Laughter bubbled. Easy. Soon. Dad. Scout's honor. Summer unfurled lazy. A brief exhale before the storm. Book launch at Books on the Square. Crowd spilling onto Cambridge sidewalks. Readings met with snaps instead of claps. Queer icons in attendance sharing stage-side hugs. Liam manned the signing table, hawking copies with flair. My husband's words. They're dangerous. Sales soared. Reviews in the Atlantic calling it a clarion for the unseen. His adjunct gig bloomed into a tenure-track whisper. Studio hours yielding eclipse series, shadows eclipsing light, but emerging radiant. We hosted gallery nights with wine and cheese, Dad visiting with Ellen, their banter a bomb, her vet stories mirroring his, scars swapped like trading cards. But peace is prelude. July heat wave. A letter arrived, certified. Official seal from Seattle courts. Dad's will revision. No. Liam's past clawing back. A class action suit against the foster system. His name listed as plaintiff in a suit alleging systemic abuse. They found me, he said, paper trembling. Through my interviews. Want my story. Full. I scanned pages, legalese blurring into horror. The priest, group home overseers, cover-ups spanning decades. Testify, stomach nodded. It'll drag everything up. He nodded, jaw set. Has to. For those kids still in it. Court dates loomed. Depositions in a Tacoma federal building, echoes of our origins. We flew west. Bungalow shuddered, hearts heavy. Dad met us at SeaTac, Ellen in tow, her hand steady on his. Proud, he said, hugging Liam fierce. Facing dragons. Trial prep was excavation. Lawyers probing wounds. Liam reliving nights under thin blankets. Hands where they shouldn't. I sat sentinel. Notebook filling with details for an op-ed justice delayed. Queer youth betrayed. Nights in the old house. Guest room shared. Ghosts whispering from walls. Opening arguments hit like gut punches. Prosecutors painting institutional rot. Defense squirming with denials. Liam on stand, voice steady. Eyes locked on me in the gallery. They broke trust first, he said. Unflinching. Took my childhood. But I reclaimed it. Cross-examination twisted knives. Weren't you troubled? Drugs? Truancy? But he parried. Fire unquenched. Survival. Not trouble. Jury deliberated days. City holding breath. Verdict. Guilty on counts. Settlements pending. Millions for reform. Funds for survivors. Press swarmed. Liam's face on CNN. The artist who spoke. Back east. Catharsis crashed. He painted furious. Canvases slashed with red. Anger. Release. Therapy unpacked the purge. Our bed a sanctuary of aftercare. Fall semester. Renewed vigor. My book hit bestseller indie lists. Speaking tour domestic Boston, NYC, Philly. Liam's exhibit at MoMA PS1. Sold out. Collectors bidding on Reclaimed. A sculpture of rebar hearts. Welded whole. Thanksgiving in Providence. Table extended. Sarah and fiancé. Ellen's sister joining. Toast to trials won. Dad. Reflective by Pi. You boys. You taught me trust rebuilds stronger. Winter solstice. We adopted. Milo. A mutt from the shelter part lab. All loyalty paws muddying rugs. Tail wagging absolution. Bring. A curveball. My editor pitched expansion, Harbor Voices 2. Global lens. London. Berlin calls. Liam's department head dangled sabbatical. Paris residency. We could, he mused, over escargot at a French bistro. Dual tour. Art and words. Excitement sparked, but caution tempered. Together. Always. Summer packed. Suitcases for transatlantic jaunts. London first. Thames fog. My panel at the South Bank Center. Liam sketching crowds at Tate Modern. Nights in Camden pubs. Bodies reacquainting amid jet lag. Paris. Seine glittering. His residency in Montmartre. A garret studio. Easel by the window. I wrote in cafes. Hemingway ghosts approving. Fights minimal culture shock spats. Makeup sex fervent under Eiffel glow. Fall return. Milo ecstatic. Bungalow alive. Dad's update. Ellen pregnant. Late in life miracle. IVF triumph. Grandpa Mike. He joked, but eyes shone. Book 2 coalesced. Liam's illustrations peppering pages, visual poetry. His tenure secured. Mine promoted to features editor. Winter. Solstice ritual. Bonfire on the beach. Milo chasing waves. Vows whispered to flames. Through changes, I said. Unpredictable, he echoed. Spring bloom. Dad's bundle arrives. Nephew. Red-faced howler. We fly west. Uncle's instant. Tiny fists gripping fingers. Summer solstice full circle. Back to our pier. Now with Milo leashed. Dad and Ellen toasting from afar. 10 years, Liam says. Ring renewed, platinum. Compass etched deeper. From broken trust to this woven, weathered, wondrous. American dream. Queer-coded. Messy. Mended. Ours. Epilogue whispers. More books. More canvases. Perhaps kids of our own. Foster cycle broken. Love's legacy built. Changed? Utterly. Predictably human.